Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Well, it's a soggy day. It rained all night, but hey, the garden is starting to pay off, and I want to take you around and show you some of the good things and a couple of the bad things. Well, the fence is still soaked, and there's standing water in my backyard. You can see all around Lucy the lemon tree here. We got a good rain. Yeah, this has traditionally been a low spot back here. I have been noticing that my onions, especially the yellow onions, have begun laying down. And when they begin to lay down, it pretty much means they're ready to harvest. And they're not going to do much more growing. And that one was in there so much that I broke it off. Oh well. So, yeah, I got some onions. These are smaller than I had hoped, but they're bigger than some of the years I've grown onions before. They're perfectly usable, so I got onions. Yeah, once the onion lays down, it's done, and you may as well just harvest it. So we'll pull some of these onions out and get them ready for curing. I like to hang them on a rack. Just a couple pieces of wood with a slot in between them, and I hang them upside down with the greens hanging downward to encourage curing. You can use an onion right away, but if you cure it, get more flavor, and that onion is a little bit better tasting. The ones that haven't quite dried in their stalk, I'll leave behind and let them continue on. But the ones that have laid down and the stalk just above the onion is papery and dry, we'll pull those up. Yeah, this is the time when the garden is encouraging. We're actually harvesting the things you plant. Yeah, onions. Homegrown. The reason, let me show you the reason. The reason my onions did not bulk up as much as they could have is there's a lot of weed competition in here. I didn't stay on top of this. You can see there's a lot of weed competition down in here, and onions don't like competition. And so because I didn't stay on top of weeding here, that's about the biggest onion I'm gonna get. It's all right. Yeah, we can pull this one too. All right, we got some onions. Getting some peppers too. It rained, so the earth is all splashed up on these peppers here, but nice. What is this one? It's gypsy pepper. Never had this variety before. But all my pepper plants, even the little ones, are putting on peppers. You can see over there, there's an Anaheim. I actually harvested one of those the other day. But yeah, my peppers aren't growing as quickly as I would have hoped because it's not hot enough yet. Well, they're growing, just not as quickly. Check this out. More good news. Green beans. This is the Seychelles variety from Johnny Select Seeds. It is a hybrid and supposed to be truly stringless. I can't wait. We've got green bean blossoms all over this, everywhere. And a big overview as we step back and wait for the airplane to fly over. Yeah, the beans have made it all the way up to the top of the trellis, and I'm having to redirect them around, back down. Well, they refuse, obviously. But yeah, man, we got some green beans. Just 3 rows here of green beans will keep me into some green beans. So leeks are still producing, still growing. We've harvested some. I've made soup and showed you how to eat these leeks. The cucumbers have sprouted, and I'm going to have to get them trellised up pretty soon here. This row did well. This row, I didn't have a very good germination rate. Not sure what's wrong with that. So we'll trellis this row here, and that'll be plenty of cucumbers for a batch of pickles. My tomato plants, well, they're sprawling. I've just let them sprawl. But look, I'm getting lots and lots of fruit here. Some big fat tomatoes on here, and lots of them. Yeah, I got to put some bird netting around these. Otherwise the birds will get them. So I'm going to do an experiment this year. I'm just going to cage them and let these indeterminates sprawl because I've been reading and learning that if you let your indeterminates sprawl, they'll produce lots of tomatoes for you, and they'll just be a little bit smaller than if you keep a single or maybe one or two vines. So we're just gonna let them sprawl, and I'll just prune for health. Like, I got to get all those leaves up off the ground, because this is what you don't want with tomatoes. You don't want the rain to put soil on the leaves. So we definitely need to get out here and clean up the bottom of these tomato plants and open them up for airflow. But they're producing like wild, and they're growing like crazy. Same one down here. Now the cardinals have already been down in here trying to peck at these tomatoes, so I do need to get some netting over them. But isn't it encouraging when you start to see your fruits coming in? Yeah. All this rain encourages the weeds. Got to get out here and scuffle hoe. And if I was smart, I'd go ahead and put some mulch down, because these little Edox tomato plants are about the size where I can mulch around them and start pruning them. These I will keep to a single vine. And we'll prune these up a string and train them. Yep. They're growing slow though. I'm not sure why. It seems that my friends who are also gardening have been having some issues with slow growing tomato plants just this year, and I don't know what that's about, but it's happening. And as we talk about encouragement, I see blossoms all over my goji berries. You can see there are blossoms, and this goji berry, I'm actually going to have to trim it back and tie it up because it's spreading like crazy and it's kind of out of control. But it's better to have an out of control berry plant than not have one at all, if you ask me. Blackberries are putting on fruit, lots and lots of fruit. So we'll be eating blackberries, or I'm going to make jelly again. We'll be making jelly soon, but it's covered. Yeah, the chives down here went to seed. That's good because then you get free seeds. And this is the beneficial insect collection of seeds and flowering plants. You can see we've got some of these. What is that? I forgot. Is that a cosmos? But all these have the bees and the wasps all going crazy over here. There's a volunteer sweet potato. I'm going to let it grow. Got a basil there. Check it out. If you remember, we left our cilantro to go to seed so that we could have coriander. Well, it's starting to bulk up now. You can see those little round coriander seeds forming. And once they get big, we'll dry them and bring them in and use them as coriander. Nice. Production. Man, I can hear the bees buzzing and the wasps buzzing over here. And it's always encouraging to see the fruit of your labor. Look at that. I began 3 years ago with these apple trees as bare root stalks with a tiny little graft on them. And we have apples this year. That makes me so happy. This is Shell of Alabama, and we should have summer apples. Here is the Golden Dorset. Got a few apples here. I did have to thin. You generally want to thin first year apples. Well, you want to thin all apples to get the apples to really bulk up. Yeah, look at that. And then I've got my Anna, which also has apples. Maybe too many on here. I might have to pluck some off. But the whole tree is leaning. But, I mean, this is just encouraging to me. All the work is paying off. All the pruning. These have little marks on them. I don't know what that is. I'll have to research that. Yeah. Look how that tree's leaning. We're going to have to stake it up. But yeah, all the work with all these fruit trees back here is starting to pay off. Another bit of encouragement. I'm going to have citrus. Yeah, this tree was loaded with blossoms. And typically you lose a lot, like the one I just knocked off. You lose a lot of these fruits. But the tree keeps on as many as it wants to ripen. And this one's going to have about, well, it's going to have a lot. I got 40 off this one 2 years ago. My lime tree is not fruiting this year. It's okay, take your time. This is my blood, Sanguinelli blood orange. We've got some fruit here. And this is my key lime, and it looks like we might get some fruit. But these little guys can be deceptive. The tree will drop a lot of those little baby fruits. So we'll just kind of wait and see. That's the first year for that tree. Fig trees are doing great. Coming back from the freeze. Don't think we'll get any fruit ripening on these because they were stunted back by the freeze. But at least they're coming back. Here's my problem. Look at this southern cherry. This is a Osceola cherry, also called a Barbados cherry. All of a sudden, its leaves turned yellow and dropped for no reason. I didn't do anything, didn't change anything. The only thing that changed is I think we got a bunch of sudden deluges all at once. And it probably is water stressed. So we'll just wait and see. But look, that's the ugly part. That's the discouragement right now. I mean, when a tree just turns yellow and drops its leaves for no apparent reason, yeah, it's kind of frustrating. But other than that, the garden is doing great. I do have some kind of a powdery mildew type thing in my dill, but it washes right off. I'm not sure what that is. The rain washed a lot of it off. But my herbs are doing great. I mean, I can't complain. I can't complain. Let me show you the other good things. I got lots of this basil. You got to keep it plucked. Keep these flower heads plucked off. You don't want it going to flower and going to seed. If it does, it turns kind of skunky. So occasionally I'll just come out with basil and just chop half the top of the plant off, and that'll force out new bushy growth. And yeah, you don't want them going to seed. Pomegranate, well, it's put on new leaves. Look at all those new leaves. If you saw me put this plant in, you saw that there were hardly any good leaves on it at all because it was stressed from shipping. But yeah, a couple good rains and it's looking great. The muscadine vineyard, my little micro vineyard. I've got 4 vines. When I say a vine, here's the trunk. We come up and to the wire and we split it both ways, and it runs down. And look, we're gonna have tons of muscadine grapes. Those are baby little muscadines right there, and they're all up and down these vines. That is going to be a good year. Now, I haven't seen the grapevine skeletonizer moth yet, but I have to check every day because I've had that moth twice now, 2 years in a row, so I know they are around and they will attack. We just have to stay on top of being vigilant so that we can come out here and spray and take care of these vines. Look at all that fruit we're going to get. It's a ton of it in there. So this is the slow time of the garden, because there's not a lot we can do but weed. Weed and wait. Weed and wait. But it's the promising time of the garden because you start to see the fruit and you start to get a little bit of a harvest here and there. Hey, I'll try to keep you updated with what's going on around here. Like this little video today, just a little update. And we didn't really show you how to do much, but we'll have some of those videos coming as the tasks come around. Whew, it's hot. I'm going to go inside. Thanks for joining me today on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Hope your garden is doing well. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.